Today's episode of Real Talk Christian Podcast is sponsored by the Christian Standard Bible. The goal of the CSB is to be faithful to the original languages without sacrificing clarity, all while maintaining both accuracy and readability. With the beautiful designs and multiple study Bible options, everyone from adults to teens and even children can find a CSB Bible that they enjoy. Learn more at csbible.com. Again, that's csbible.com.
Welcome to Real Talk Christian Podcast, where we drink coffee and have real conversations about faith, culture, and society. I'm your host, Chris Fuller.
And I'm Timothy Hyde.
And on today's episode, it's kind of a mystery episode, right? So are you prepared? I wonder what we're going to talk about today,
I'm
Mark.
genuinely curious too, actually.
Well, why don't we jump into the episode and we'll find out. You ready?
Let's go.
Let's go.
Money, 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 money. Money.
What was that?
Beth keeps texting me and says she's selling more and more stuff on Facebook Marketplace. So all I see is
Coffee.
Oh, I was thinking Panda Express, my dude.
I have not had Panda Express in probably 6 years. Probably, maybe even longer.
So pretty much since it first opened.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I don't think I've ever been to the South Side.
You've never been to our Panda Express?
I don't think I've ever been to the South Side Panda. I've been to the one in Mishawaka.
Yes, the freestanding one right there by Grape. Yep, Grape and Edison Lakes. Yeah, somewhere in there. By Meyer,
yeah.
next to Meyer.
Next to
the Meyer.
Yeah,
So you've never been to our Panda Express?
Not that I can recall. Janelle may correct me and be like, yeah, we did. We went back in 1962 at 3:45 in the afternoon, and you were wearing a blue shirt.
And it was sunny.
It was sunny with a 30% chance it rained the next day.
So who's on first?
Exactly.
What's on second?
I could barely remember my name.
I don't know who's on third. That is glorious. But Beth keeps texting me, says she's selling more stuff on Facebook Marketplace. So I'm like, I might need to swing by Panda Express on the way home because I ate 2 slices of Jack's Pizza before I came, which is the equivalent to like a quarter slice of Papa John's because they're so tiny. I love Jack's though, man. I love Jack's Pizza.
I had Papa John's Pizza tonight. With the pepperoni and the cheese in the crust.
Oh, in the crust? Wait, pepperoni in the crust?
Yeah, they're doing that.
Shut up.
They're doing pepperoni and cheese in the crust. It's so
good in my belly.
Get in a fat big kid's belly.
Now, I will say, so I found myself in Elkhart all day today. So I got to go to both of my favorite coffee shops today in one day. That's why I texted you. I'm like, so that's why we're not drinking coffee, because I was like, dude, I have had so much coffee today.
He's like, I'm twitching.
I am not okay.
And I'm like,
I need water.
I'm like, I got to go to bed, so probably a good idea.
So I had my coffee when I woke up, which right now I'm drinking Important Joe's.
Yes.
I also have what used to be Zen Cafe, but now they're called Kaleidoscope Coffee because they're not a cafe. They're focusing more on their coffee.
Oh, good for them.
So they're Kaleidoscope, which their coffee is glorious. So I had that too. But I'm drinking some Important Joe's, right?
Glorious like Gloria Jeans? That's a joke.
Better.
That's just a joke.
Better. I love Gloria Jeans, frou-frou drinks though. But then I went and I taught chapel at ECA. And then right after that, I had about 40 minutes before I had a client meeting in Elkhart. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to the Steel Yard. So I got my coffee from the Steel Yard.
Ooh, nice.
Phenomenal. And then after that, I went and got lunch/coffee at the Electric Brew.
So Rodney Buse from But What Does the Bible Say?
What's up, Rodney? And the wonderful, the amazing Tim Parsons.
The amazing, the wonderful, the incredible, the glorious.
Oh, the glorious. Try that one next time, Rodney.
But anyways, so we've been sending stuff.
We've
been sending stuff back and forth, and he just sent me 2 new coffees.
Really?
And I forget what they're called.
Are they from Fathom? Or are they from a different?
No,
roaster?
they're from somewhere else. Well, you know what? Hang on. I bet I got
you look it up. But so
I bet I got the email from them.
But dude, for lunch today, I had a turkey pesto wrap. It was so amazing.
Was
I am hungry.
Was it glorious?
It wasn't glorious. It was just solid.
3 Ships Coffee.
3 Ships. What's up with Rodney? What's up with you and like
3 Ships Coffee?
Like boat thing? Wait, was he Navy or was he Army?
He was Navy.
That makes sense because Fathom is a diver, and then this is a ship.
So he sent me the Steady Hand.
In Virginia Beach.
The Steady Hand and Vista El Chirpo.
Okay, so what are those?
I don't know. I haven't got into them yet. I have been way busy. He keeps going, have you tried them yet? Have you tried them yet? Have you tried them yet? And I'm like, no.
You haven't even been home to try them yet, man.
I am dying right now. And then he texts us, he's like, hey, you guys want to be on Saturday morning? And we're like,
and we're like, well, I'm in soccer season, so I'm coaching right now.
You're like, I'm busy. And I'm like, I got to be at work at like 5:30 in the morning. So,
but the last 2 days, kind of leading into Beth is selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace. Our wives had a family yard sale.
Yeah, they had a little garage sale.
Beth said which I'll speak for Beth, and I know Janelle's listening. Beth thoroughly enjoyed the mama time that she got.
Oh
the
yeah,
last couple
Janelle
days.
did too. Yeah,
she was like, I needed the mama time.
I've enjoyed coming home and my kids being wiped out because your kids have been playing with my kids. And I was like, oh, this is nice.
Gee, see, my kids come home whining because I fell asleep and then they woke up, but now they're just screaming.
I heard Lucy was like attached to a Blue's Clues toys.
Dude, she was so proud. Whenever Lucy wakes up, I mean, love that little girl does. She's got some struggles. She's got some issues. We all do, but she's got some struggles, got some issues. But for some reason, whenever she wakes up from a nap, and then from her nap in general, and then all the way till bedtime, it's just not good. It is not good. So Beth was trying to distract her, and she was very proud to show me her magenta. And then Beth turned on Blue, and Blue started doing this thing, and she tucked it under her arm and had this goofy smile like,
look at me, Dad.
Like, Dad, I got Blue.
What's up now? And he moves, or she moves. I guess it's a girl.
Blue's a girl, Magenta's a boy, right?
No, but I think they're
Is
both
Magenta
girls.
a girl too?
I think they're both girls.
I don't know.
But for the longest time, I thought Blue was a boy.
Me too, but I was not a big Blue's Clues kid. Like that was my younger brother.
Mine too.
My younger brother was a Blue's Clues kid. Now, did you do Bob the Builder? Because that was also younger brother.
No.
So what was yours?
Mine was, I watched a lot of Bozo the Clown.
Sunday morning I would watch Bozo Buckets. They would play Bozo Buckets.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched a lot of Bozo the Clown.
That's hilarious. That makes sense now.
I watched, right. That's why I got the big shoes. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so and
I was more saying the clown.
I watched a lot of Ninja Turtles.
Ooh, I was not allowed to watch
I watched
Ninja
a lot
Turtles.
of Reading Rainbow.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I watched a lot of Sesame Street.
I didn't do a lot of Sesame Street.
And I will admit, all right, yes. Barney. Hi, my name is Chris. I'm a sinner, and I watched Barney.
Yeah, I saw Barney live, bro.
Did you? Oh, I never did that,
Barney.
But
I love Barney. I loved Wishbone. Remember Wishbone?
Oh, dude, I forgot about Wishbone.
The medieval times one. I watched that on repeat. I did not watch a lot of Wishbones. I watched a lot of Wishbone episodes.
Single episode.
Because back in the day, before we had Netflix and tablets and Disney Plus, we had to buy these things called VHSs that came with sometimes 1 or up to 3 or 4 different episodes. And those were the only episodes you ever watched.
So, listen, okay.
We did not stream nothing. We had to buy VHSs, and what you got was what you got. And normally it came from Goodwill.
This is for all you kids that are listening out there. So a VHS is not on a disc, okay? I understand those are outdated
but
as well.
What's a disc, Fuller?
I know. I understand. That's outdated as well. These things were very much like a film, and I know it's hard, but it's like tin foil, but more see-through-y and more plasticky, and went on these things called reels, and it went from one side to the other, and you could actually rewind the tape by hand if you wanted to.
And if it messed up, you would have to put a piece of tape on the film, and then it would skip it. Yeah.
But you know what? It worked like a charm. You can't fix a scratch on a CD, but you could sure tape a VHS together.
Oh, I bought the expensive stuff, like the built-in stuff from Best Buy, that you would put the liquid on, and you have the buffer wheel, the shiny wheel, and the other wheel.
All that came out.
Yeah, remember that was dope.
When Family Video was still around.
I had missed that.
And Blockbuster before they went out of business.
I was never a Blockbuster fan, but Family Video with your report card. Oh,
they did that all the time. They'd do the whole.
They had a machine that did it for you. That was dope.
When I saw that machine, I was like, yeah, because it used to be like. I had the one where you could put the cap on and you had the spinner.
Yes, my mom bought the bougie one.
Like, dude, that thing was awesome.
Yep, but
that's what I got for my birthday, like a birthday gift one time, and that's all I wanted was that. So I
remember those days. I remember the thing I begged for was the headphones that hooked around your ears and went behind your head.
Yes,
because it didn't mess up my hair.
Oh wow, that's not what I wanted.
But the other one I was upset.
No, because I used to take my headphones. And I would literally.
You were that dude. You would wear a beard. You would have a beard headphone
underneath. Yep.
Wow, you were one of the cool cats.
all the time.
But see, I also watched a lot of the Magic School Bus.
Ah, yeah.
Miss Frizzle, not the new one.
So I watched
the OG.
I watched quite a bit of it.
I remember that's how I know how blood cells work.
And like Arthur and stuff like that back before.
I enjoyed Arthur. Yeah.
Back before they went all liberal. But whatever.
But it is what it is. But my favorite VHS of all time was 1993, Sports Illustrated, The Year in Sports. Ask me any fact from 1993 about sports, I could probably pull it out of my butt. Like the Fab Five.
He's like, that's all I know.
I always forget the dude's last name. The Mr. Steroids.
Hey, what's Mr. Steroid's last name?
Maybe I don't know. He went to catch a foul ball and it bounced on top of his head and it bounced over the wall and it was
Did you ever watch?
It counted as a because it didn't touch the ground. It counted as a home run.
Did you ever watch? I used to go and
Cowboys won the Super Bowl against the Bills, and then the next year they did it again.
So I used to go to the video rental store, right? And I would rent that year's or the year before's greatest sports bloopers.
Yes, give me some.
I mean, those were great, man.
Yes. Oh, I had way too many of those, man. They were glorious.
They were awesome.
And see now, again, this is so different because now we got ESPN top 10 plays every single day, and they're the same stinking thing.
Now I could just go on.
And there's
Facebook.
the not top 10 plays.
Well, see, I see them all the time on Facebook,
Instagram or Facebook. Yeah. I'm there all the time. We had to wait until the end of the year to get it on VHS.
No, the worst thing is when you went to the video store and you were like really looking forward to renting a video, and
it was gone.
It was gone.
It was gone.
And then you'd go like 2 weeks later, and you're like, it's got to be big.
Or do you remember when you would rent a video game and you literally had 1 week to play it? So that was like all or nothing.
Yeah.
And then mom would be like, then when you would, that was the worst thing was when you, I just spit all over your iPad. I am very sorry. But the worst thing was when you rented a game and then you got grounded from said video game system. And then you just had to stare at the stupid disc that you knew you would not get to play.
See,
but mom never paid for it because we did report cards and they would do report cards.
I'm a little bit older than you, right? So
a lot.
I remember when playing Nintendo.
I had a Super Nintendo.
When Nintendo came out, and there was no way to save the game, right? So you hit the pause button, you turned off the TV, but you left the system on. That way it saved where you were at.
I remember the day on the PlayStation where I had to learn what overwrite means. So I did that on my PlayStation. It stayed on for weeks for one game because they were like, do you want to override your saved data? I'm like, I don't think I do because I don't want to lose what I saved. Right. And now all of a sudden, it's like, you want to overwrite? Yeah. I remember when I found that out. I actually remember the joy. I sprinted and found mom. I was like, Mom, I can save my game and turn it off.
Yep.
And she's like, you're an idiot. Just go play outside.
So I was a kid that when I was little, we watched TV way too much. And so we were limited to one TV day a week. We're allowed to watch one TV.
We were that with video games.
One day.
We only play video games.
So Saturday was the day that we could watch TV. But
Saturday morning cartoons, baby.
If we got too crazy with it, like if that's all we were doing all day, they would take it that day away too. You had to go outside and play. But I grew up on, almost 15 acres of woods. So
you explored.
I had a lot of fun.
I need to figure out who owns that wooded area behind my house.
Oh, yeah.
Like not the one directly behind, because I know who owns it, but the adjacent. Because I'm like, man,
full of poison ivy?
Yeah. Let Elliot and Sadie just go explore that. That'd be legit.
I wonder how many times you're going to get poison ivy this year.
Last year it was 3?
2 or 3, yeah.
I think it was 3.
Bad.
It never went away either. Like this sounds really bad.
Your first year of marriage and half of the summer you were covered in poison ivy.
It was glorious. But you know that actually, I don't think I fully got rid of it until like November. It just hangs out with these little tiny dots, and they just kind of just go boop. There's another one, boop. And I asked the doctor. He goes, "It's because it's just in your bloodstream, and your bloodstream is just slowly working out. Like it's nuts."
You should have drank more flavored water.
I should have drank more coffee.
No, flavored water.
Coffee through the yum yum machine.
That's flavored water.
Oh, goodness.
All right. You know what? We're going to have to move on because we're at almost 15 minutes already.
We're going to skip the party cues again.
No more party cues. We're not drinking coffee.
We don't have coffee. I'm drinking water. I'm drinking H2O.
The same tea as I did last week along with some flavored water.
Because we are old. And we cannot handle caffeine anymore.
Yeah, it keeps me up all night.
But we are reading another review. You know how long it's been since we have not had a review to read on this podcast? It's been so cool.
It has been awesome.
And so we are super close to that 100 episode download giveaway. And the only way you can be a part of the giveaway is if you leave an Apple podcast review, because it helps the analytics. It helps people find us. Now, I will say to Spotify, I have not checked how many ratings we had in a while, but we have hundreds. I'm curious if we're even close to 2 at this point. I don't know. How about you? I read the review and you look up Spotify ratings. Or would you rather do the opposite?
I don't know if I can look up Spotify.
Okay, I'll look up Spotify ratings. You read the review.
All right, this one comes from Joe Gurr 10.
Good luck with that one.
I feel like this username was meant to trip us up.
Well, I'm not looking forward to the review that makes me
Joker.
word to say the word 6th in the review because I can't say it. Y'all want to hear it.
I thought we already did that review.
No, there's another one.
Oh.
There's a stinking another one. Come on, guys.
I love it that the listeners are getting in on the joke.
I hate it. So Beth is here for it too. She loves it.
All right. Joe Gurr 10 says exactly what I needed. This podcast has really helped me in my journey for more knowledge and understanding. I love the contrasting views from these guys as they work through all the major topics of the day-to-day living as a Christian. Plus, I am a fellow coffee lover, and you have inspired me to broaden my coffee palate. Thank you for doing what you do. Well, Joe Gurr 10,
You're
thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome for helping you with your coffee.
Well, of course. But thank you. Well, remember when we started off, right? And it was like, hey, what you got? Well, I got some, man, it's good coffee tonight. Yeah, what are we drinking? Starbucks K-Cups. Oh, yeah, this is going to be great.
And now
we're like, huh.
All right, dude, you ready for this? I ruined Beth.
Did you?
So the other day we were out of coffee, and so we were just like, we got to just get some. We were at all day. I said, Beth, just grab whatever back there. That's fine.
Oh,
which it actually wasn't terrible. It was a Colombian fair trade. It was
add
all
more
right.
creamer.
And then she was at Sam's Club, and she's like, hey, they have Big B on sale, and I normally love Big B. I love getting it from Big B. She brought the beans home, and I look at them, and I'm like, they're already burnt and they're oversaturated and they're still wet and they're kind of crumbling. I'm like, this isn't going to be good. I'm like, what did Fuller do to me? And then, so we were drinking.
Did you eat a bean? Did you eat a bean?
I don't eat beans in general, but I could just look and I could just look and see what's. I didn't want to eat it. But
it's like your mouth is a yum yum maker.
The mouth is the yum yum machine. But after we drank this for a few weeks, like the stuff, and then we went back to like the bougie, like
you're like
big time double wash, double A grade, like good quality coffee.
Kenya, single origin,
so good. And so I don't remember what I think. No, I got Honduran from Kodachrome, and then I got Ethiopian, which they always do Ethiopian from Important Joe's.
Oh yeah.
And then I did. I'm like, so can you tell the difference? She goes, yeah, I can really tell the difference. I'm like, I gotcha. I love it. So in case you're wondering, we have 255 reviews.
Nice.
On Spotify. So that is awesome. Ratings. We have
ratings.
So, and we know so many of you guys watch on YouTube. We have almost 250 subscribers now.
Yeah, 249 when we looked last, which is like 20 minutes ago.
And most of our listeners come from Spotify.
And we are
Google
here
Podcast
for it.
is here. We have some decent, diehard committed Google Podcast people, which we're here for.
Or Podbean listeners.
And Podbean, yeah. But you can only leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and it honestly does help the algorithm. So if you are an Apple user, you already got it. So just download the app, leave the review, delete the app, and then be on your merry way. That's all we're asking. That is all we are asking.
Horrible. Just please leave us a review. Please, sir, can I have some more?
But when we hit 100 downloads, we are going to take the names of all the people that left a review.
We're just going to go
and we're going to
hit a number. Name. We're going to find that number in the 100th.
Whatever reviews. Hopefully it's either like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And then we're going to call you out. And then we're
on the podcast.
And then we're going to be like, send us your info.
And we're going to do it.
And then you're going to.
I still have a coffee cup giveaway that I need to do from March Madness still.
Dude, that was like 2 months ago. Well, a
month ago. Dude, I can't even keep up with my own life right now. It is nuts. But we're not here talking about my life and nuts. We're talking about preparing.
Are you prepared to talk about what we're talking about today?
I even was like, what are we talking about? Are you prepared? I didn't know what you were talking about until I had to read through the show. It's like, oh, okay.
This topic was actually brought up by a listener, right? On Instagram. Austin Rochester.
Oh, you actually got the name this time.
Look at that. I even put it in the show notes, so I knew it.
Did you get permission to use his name?
No, I didn't. But you know what?
Thanks, Austin.
Sorry. It's just happening. Anyways, It
was a solid question, though. It was a solid question.
And we haven't. I haven't even given away what the question was, but that's so. But he brought up this question, and we thought it was with everything going on in the world today, it's probably a time to talk about this certain topic of are you prepared.
For what?
People are like, man, they talk about the second coming, or they talking about like doomsday.
Which we did. We did talk
marriage,
about. What was that specific? The day of the Lord, right? We talked about that.
Yes. Yeah, a few episodes ago.
Yeah, we talked about that one and what that meant. So how is this different than that? Like, what are we talking about?
There's a lot of different ways people can prepare, right? So
Okay.
you can prepare for school, you can prepare for a job, prepare for retirement.
That's the big one.
Sporting events, weddings, vacations, natural disasters, doomsday, death.
Whoa,
The list goes
that
on
just went
and on
nuts. You just went
and on.
school, job, retirement, weddings,
Yeah, boom. You're like, but look at it. Look at the transition, right? Schools, jobs, retirement, sporting events, weddings, all happy vacations, natural disasters. Okay, we're starting to go. Doomsday. Okay, death.
So is this kind of more of like the preppers?
So, well, it's kind of more of like everything as far as it pertains to like natural disasters, like a emergency preparedness.
Okay.
That's what we're going to talk about today. See, you had to wait
Should we
21 minutes.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Wait.
What can I say except
Now it's
you're
been 21 minutes. Now we're
welcome?
good. All right. So how are we doing this conversation, man?
Bro, really, literally, I'm going to read. I've got two scriptures. That I'm going to read. And then I got two questions, and we're just going to talk through those two questions. And then I got a third question and one more scripture. And then that's literally all I got. It's literally, this is going to be real talk. This is going to be opinion night.
All right. Let's do it. I'm ready.
Right.
Or morning if you're listening
So
in the morning.
here is the two scriptures I pulled for emergency preparedness.
Okay.
Natural disaster, doomsday, last days, those physical things that could happen that we should prepare for with physical things.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So Genesis 41, 47 through 49 says, this is about Joseph. Do you remember that guy back in the Old Testament, Joseph?
The coat of many colors.
Yeah.
Fun fact: Diana DeGarmo and her husband played Joseph in the Broadway, and I would really love to go see it because it is well done.
So anyways,
Fun fact.
Verse 47 says, during the 7 years of abundance, the land produced outstanding harvest. Joseph gathered all the excess food in the land of Egypt during the 7 years and put it in the cities. He put the food in every city from the fields around it. So Joseph stored up grain in such abundance, like the sand of the sea, that he stopped measuring it because it was beyond measure.
I'm looking at a Bible verse real quick.
That's all. That's CSB. That's why it's yes.
I love it.
So Joseph stored up a lot, so much so that he couldn't even measure it anymore, right? All right.
And he prepared for something that he knew was going to come. Now, this was
a disaster.
This was a God-ordained
natural disaster
dream, though, where he's like, we're going to have 7 years of prosperity, 7 years of famine, so we need to use the 7 years of prosperity to prepare for the 7 years of famine, but he prepared for it. Like, they were ready to go to the point where the Jews in other countries had to come to Egypt, and Egypt got, like, loaded. They got rich.
Oh, yeah.
Like, flipping rich.
Well, that's how they built
of
their empire, really.
Right, exactly.
Anyways, so here's the other. We're going to read in one more scripture, right? So Joseph, man, he was a preparer, right?
Okay.
Now, yeah, it was God-ordained dream that helped them see what was coming, so that's why they prepared. So Luke 12, 16 through 21 says, then he told them a parable. Oh, Jesus talking
I
about
love parables with stories. Earthly stories with heavenly meanings.
A rich man's land was very productive. He thought to himself, what should I do since I don't have anywhere to store up my crops? This is a rich man saying this. I will do this, he said. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones and store all my grains and all my goods there. Then I'll say to myself, you have many good stores stored up for many years. Take it easy. Eat, drink, and enjoy yourself. But God said to him, you fool, this very night your life is demanded of you. And the things you've prepared, whose will they be? That's how it is with the ones who store up treasures for himself and not rich toward God.
I feel like that's saying the exact opposite of what Joseph did.
You caught that.
And this is why I wanted to add this verse too. So Proverbs 3, 9 through 10 says, honor the Lord from your wealth and from the first of all your produce, which, I mean, I guess we could have brought that up last episode, but so your barns will be filled with plenty and that your vats will overflow with new wine. So honor the Lord so that even sounds a little bit of prosperity of like if you honor God, you'll have all the things you need.
Sure.
So how do we balance those? We're like we see Solomon saying, hey, honor the Lord with your wealth, and that way you'll have like abundance barns. Joseph had abundance barns, and then Jesus, where it's like, you should not have built barns.
Yeah, Jesus saying, God's saying tonight your life is due. You're gonna die today because you did these things.
So how do we justify and rectify those? Because I've even heard, like we talked about that with gambling and money, and is investments and preparing for retirement. Is that idolatry? Is that wise? Is that we could sit here from the American side? Well, of course we have to plan for retirement, but is that what God calls us to do because of the verse where, hey, you died like tonight, so it doesn't it's like screw it. It doesn't matter what you have, like you're dead.
Sure.
So how do I struggled with this how do we do this?
But I wanted to stay away from like retirement and stuff like that because not everybody can do that, right? Not everybody can prepare for stuff like that.
So mainly, let's lean into the natural disaster.
I want to lean into the natural disaster / doomsday, quote unquote preppers.
Okay, so when I think of prepper, though, I think of more like when the
crazy
government
people.
Well, when the no, the guys who have the cabins in the woods that are not connected to anything. They are self-sustaining. They have all their guns and they got their preps. And if the zombies are coming, I'm going there.
Yeah, crazy people.
Well, but I think,
I'm not saying crazy is bad. I'm just saying crazy people.
Well, according to cultural standards, yeah, I'd say they're crazy. But I mean, we know some people that would love to go off the grid.
Sure.
Because they see
so
bad
this
things
is
coming.
this is where the conversation comes in, though. Should Christians, right, not Americans, not crazies, not normal people, not Republicans, not Democrats, not liberals, not conservatives, but should Christians prepare for natural disasters and like doomsday stuff, last day stuff?
In some regards, I don't think we can prepare for natural disasters because we've seen cities that were built to withstand natural disasters that just get taken out.
Yeah.
I mean, think of like Pompeii. I mean, should we have really built a city
on a volcano?
On the base of a volcano?
Sounds legit.
Maybe not. But that happened and the city was wiped out. But then you also see the tsunamis over in Japan and Indonesia that literally don't just wipe out homes. They wipe out entire cities and neighborhoods, and in our cultural terms, counties. Like they're just wiping, and they can't prepare for that. And then you think of like New Orleans, where yes, okay, it's below sea level, but at the same time,
they built levees that were supposed to withstand all that.
Oh, the hurricane, then Katrina went in and just lit that place up like a Christmas tree.
Sure.
And not to downplay the seriousness of what happened, but it happened. Or the forest fires.
Right.
You see that all the time.
Right.
Or you see, okay, now not just forest fires, but then you also see pollen. Pollen's a natural disaster. Pollen is awful.
It's horrible.
But
Janelle's like, yes, right now, because she's allergic to everything, so she hates pollen.
So why is she yes?
Because you're like,
she's agreeing with you. I'm like, why would she be cheering when she's got the allergies?
Because you were bringing it up. She's like, finally somebody understands.
That's true. Beth and I understand because we struggle with the allergies.
Oh yeah.
But I think in some regards, there's nothing we can do, and that's why we call them natural disasters. Or what's the other term that we use?
I can't
think what it's called. Basically, it's like things that we cannot control.
But there's people that are like, hey, I'm going to store up, water, food, generators for when the power goes out. A power outage. That's a natural disaster, right? Tornado.
That's actually true.
Knocks it out, right?
For that, yeah.
So should Christian? And then there's people that are out in the middle of the woods with 18 different spider holes with guns in them and preparing for war. And so
like the Agent Gibbs
bringing it to today. Okay. So in a lot of the Christian community, they are looking at the state of affairs of the world,
the war in the Ukraine,
the conflict in Ukraine.
Sorry,
we don't call it war here. No, it's war.
It's war.
I'm just messing with you.
I'm like, it's war.
Putin calls it a conflict. So that's
but you have the war in Ukraine. You also have the wars that are going on in the Middle East.
Well, you have
the civil wars all over the place.
You still got COVID. You've got a lot of tension in this country, right?
Yep. And there's a lot of debt. There's a lot of individual people's debt and government debt, and we don't know what's going to happen. The housing market. Is it going to crash?
The stock market's going crazy, and so and even listening to I don't know if you know who Dan Bonjoni is.
I know Bon Jovi.
He took over for Rush Limbaugh on talk radio. So I'm sure some of our listeners have maybe.
I don't do talk radio.
Well,
I do talk podcast.
but so he's encouraging a lot of the talk radio, conservative talk radio is saying, hey, everybody needs to prepare. This country's going to be going down. There's going to be food shortages because of COVID and the war, and because Ukraine is a big producer of like wheat and other essential needs, and you guys should be preparing and have a bunch of food stored up and a bunch of water stored up. And so should Christians be that way? Right? Should Christians follow those things, or should Christians live by and not store up and just live by whatever God can take care of them with? Or is that just being bad stewards and is that burying your talent, not producing more talents to help others? And so this is where the conversation piece really starts, right?
So I have opinions on that.
Well, and that's kind of what I wanted. This is a conversation, right? I didn't want to make it. This
is not a point by point.
I brought up the two. I brought up the two scripture verses, and there's a main point in there.
Okay.
But I don't want to get to that main point yet, or else the podcast.
So here's my thought when it comes to prepping, right?
Sure.
I think there's, in one side, there is wise prepping. And in terms of, like, the biggest push that I have had with retirement is that you're not saving money so you can just retire and do nothing. It's more of you are financially stable and free in order to constantly still go and serve. Like, I know a lot of people talk about, like, financial freedom, where, like, one of my buddies, his goal in life, I don't think it is anymore because I know what he does now. But his goal in life was to be quote unquote financially free by the age of it was 40 or 50.
Wow.
And it wasn't so he can retire. It was so that way he could go be a pastor at a church. Like, he could still be a pastor somewhere at a church and not take a dime.
Sure.
He has self-sustaining businesses, but he's able to use that to actually fund missionaries.
Sure.
And now he's an Army chaplain, actually. So it's a little bit different spend. And you ask him, he goes, bro, I just try to follow Jesus every single day, and this is the route that I've taken. So it's really cool with that. And so I think there's something cool to be said about that, because I've also heard of other people who are like pastors who they put nothing away for retirement. They put nothing away for anything. So when all the things happen, it falls on the kids to literally take care of everything.
Sure.
Which, I mean, again, that's what the Bible even talks about, where that's how you honor your parents, because they took care of you when you had nothing. So you should take care of them if they have nothing as well. So I think there is some wisdom to that. And even Solomon talks about, like, a wise, prudent father sets things up in such a way where he can continue to bless his kids for generation to generation. So I think there's something to be said about that. However, I do think because we live in such a legitimately rich culture, like, we live in a rich culture. Like, you and I, compared to most people in the world,
we're filthy rich.
Like, I own 3 cars.
Right.
Most people don't even own one.
Right. Even in America, most people don't own one.
Right. And we've created this picture. It's kind of like from the old Ronald Reagan ad about like Wake Up America, of like this, not Wake Up America, like I think it was called Good Morning America or something like that. No, that's the talk show. It's something about the fact of the sun rises and here's the American dream in picture form for his campaign. Let's get back to this American dream where it's no struggles, no worries, nice house, white picket fence, couple cars, couple kids, you got a dog, got a cat who acts like a dog because cats that act like cat are annoying. But you have this picture perfect American dream where we're comfortable and we're safe and we're secure. And now all of a sudden, the world is causing us to not be secure.
Right.
And this is where I think a lot of Gen Z deals with mental issues, is because before we always had cultural anchors as Christians to dig into, which I don't think we're always correct. But the fact of our world is in such turmoil right now, like, we can't trust. I mean, some people say, well, I could never trust the government. But, I think there's something to be said about the fact of we just don't know what's going to happen because we keep flip-flopping all these different things.
Sure.
We can't trust the economy because we have watched it crash. We have watched
several times.
We've watched terrorist attacks that have actually happened in our own backyard. Since Oklahoma City with Timothy McVeigh, with the 9/11, the Trade Towers,
the
Boston bombers. I mean, it's all over the place. Like, it's not just history. It's not Pearl Harbor anymore.
Right. Yeah.
This is real life stuff that we're dealing with. And so I think as Christians, we have gotten so used to the cushy, comfortable lifestyle and living in a quote unquote Christian nation. Sure. I mean, we've talked about that in other podcasts that we don't think it's a Christian nation necessarily, but I think we've gotten so comfortable that now that everything is spinning out of control, we think we need to take matters into our own hands, which that's why we have like, people talk about like, oh, you ain't never taking my guns and my ammunition. And I'm like, okay, so is your faith more in guns or in God? And then there's also the side of like, like I don't want anybody touching my money. I don't want to do this. I don't want to help the poor. I don't want to help do this because, God helps those who helps themselves. And it's like, is it? I don't fully buy into that. So I feel like we've lived such cushy, comfortable lives. And I'm speaking for me too, because I mean, all things considered, as much as we complained last episode about how hard our weeks have been, it ain't got nothing on people who live on the streets every single day.
Right.
But we live such cushy, comfortable lives that we don't know how to not be comfortable to the point where even like today, like in today's day and age, I legitimately giggle when they're like, oh, there's a big blizzard coming. So make sure, and all of a sudden, I mean, TP shortage, that was kind of funny to look back on. But like, it's always toilet paper or paper towel, milk and bread and cheese. And
it's
I'm like,
those things expire so fast.
But I'm also like, when have we ever have had a shutdown so bad that we had to shut down for months? Never. Ever. Like the last massive blizzard we have, we couldn't drive for what?
But they're predicting that's coming, right? That's what a lot of the financial gurus, they're predicting a food shortage in our country.
But what's a food shortage? Is it a food shortage where we're used to gorging ourselves?
No, it's you won't find stuff on the shelves. Food shortage. And so that's it's a real fear in this country right now.
It's a fear, but I'm also the side, and I don't want to just say like, some people think it's a cop out for because we say this all the time where it's like, well, how much do you really trust God in all this? Because the Bible says that God takes care of the sparrow.
Sure.
And homeboy ain't even got a job.
But we also see
homeboy, like God, not homeboy because homeboy is the sparrow, but like God takes care of the flowers in the lilies of the valley, and it's how much more does God even care for us who are made in His image? He knows the number on our heads. We see in the Bible, seek first the kingdom. What's the kingdom is? It's not, which my counselor Neil has been beating into my head again. Are you living for your own kingdom, Mark, or are you living for God's kingdom? Because right now you are living for your kingdom, and it sucks. So thanks, Neil. But it's a true reality of I care more about my control and my comfort life and looking good, feeling good, thinking good than I do about like, no. What has God called me to do? And the Bible says God will take care of and provide for all of our needs. Maybe not all of our wants, but He'll take care of our needs.
So, but then what do you do with? So I'm playing devil advocate. By the way,
Feel free.
I think everything you said was beautiful.
Okay. I'm ready to rebuttal, buddy. Let's go.
But I'm going to play the other side of it now.
Okay, do it.
But what about Joseph? Right, Joseph. God gave him a brain. Right, He gave him a vision. He gave him the know-how how to store up, because all he did was show that there was going to be 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine, and said you should probably store up.
Okay.
It was still him that had to figure out how to store everything up and how to distribute the grains to make sure it got. So there was still some.
There's a lot of technical administration abilities, homeboy.
There was, sure. So,
my goodness.
So he gave him a heads up, and some would say that we are seeing a heads up now, right, of some the national, for here in America, the national food shortage that's going to come because of the things happening in other countries and COVID and loss of production and lots of other things, right? And so, I mean, how do we answer that one?
We've survived as humans for thousands of years before what we have is what we have, and we're gonna be okay.
Sure, but there's been
I'm very much like, okay, we have food shortage in pickles. We don't have any more pickles. Okay. We have a food shortage, which is true on pigs and cows, but at the same time, people also, like, I've seen actual documentaries of like, no, like, and we're intentionally not taking care of what we have.
Sure, but what about like the people that are living on minimum wage right now, right? And the food shortages cause price hikes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which makes it so they can't buy whatever little food there is, which makes them starve to death.
Well, there's always, and this is the thing that, like, right now our government has into place where there are, like, especially Indiana, like, we are a very, very below poverty level for finances friendly in terms of healthcare, in terms of food, in terms of
sure, but
the bridge cards and all that.
That
kind
may
of
all
stuff.
change, right? With this food shortage, I mean, you're not going to be able, because you go from 15-20% of the population of Indiana to 90% of the population.
And this
of Indiana.
is where, in my opinion, the rich and the well-off and the well-prepared should be in a place where they care more about their neighbor than they do themselves.
But why wait, right? Because why not be like the ant who stores up in preparation for winter, right?
I mean, the ant has to prepare for winter because if he doesn't, he will die.
I love playing the other side of this, by the way.
But at the same time, I still lean into the fact of like we can have the world's biggest fear of we're going to have all this food shortage, but we're never going to be without food. I really don't think we ever will.
Well,
And if you are, well, you can live on beans and potatoes.
but what if they're not around?
Then grow them.
How are you going to? That takes time, though. You may not have that time to live that long to see.
But we've seen
If you
civilization after civilization. I mean, if the Pilgrims could do it back in the day, and they didn't even have heat, and they didn't have electricity, they didn't even have plumbing.
Yeah, but
And
they
they
had
made it.
help. They had help from people that were already established, the indigenous people.
We are well-established indigenous people.
We are not, but okay.
But people think we're not.
Dude,
People are terrified of the unknown.
shut down all Wi-Fi for 2 days, and let's see how indigenous we get.
I wouldn't have a job.
Well, you wouldn't have a job, but I'm thinking of even the younger generation who can't take 10 minutes away from technology at any point in their day. They're either listening to music, looking at their phone, or watching TV, or on the
You're
computer.
talking about me.
Okay, well, I didn't mean you. I said younger people. Well, I guess you are younger. But seriously, like there's not the same skill level, right, as there once was for this type of stuff. There's not preparation. We don't have farms all over the place that are prepared for this, right? Like they did.
Or do
back
we?
then. Well, not to feed the mass number of people that are here. But I'm going to get into what
I think we do.
I'm going to get into my opinion now. I've played enough of the devil's
But we
advocate.
also think about I think the potato famine over in Ireland.
Sure.
And other places that have had these struggles. But at the end of the day, God has made humanity in such a way where what's the word I'm looking for? Resilient. Humanity is resilient in a lot of ways, but also at the same time, we see in the Bible that it's gonna God will take care of it. Now, people will look at this and be like, "Oh, it must be a sign of the end times." But people could have said that during the Black Plague. They could have said that during World War I, World War II, the Civil War. I mean, shoot, like there's been
Pretty
so
much anytime there's
many
a big
points in
event.
history. And we are the first. We said this before, but in my opinion, we are the first society ever in the history where we have been so like we lived the lifestyles of kings and queens
Right.
back in the day, and we are so used to our cushiness. And I'm not saying that I want to be uncomfortable because that kind of stinks, but I don't know. It's like when people talk about the food shortage, you got to prepare. I'm like, all I think about in that is A, you don't trust God, and God apparently is not big enough to take care of you, and then shows me your lack of faith. But then B, you're also so worried about yourself. And now people say, well, I'm worried about my family too, but I'm like, the Bible says love your neighbor as yourself. And so many times, like, we don't even take care of the poor and the widow and the orphan right now.
Ah, you're hitting into between those two scriptures now.
And like, we don't, and I didn't read your show notes.
No, but I didn't even write it down because I didn't want you to.
Okay, because I'm like, I didn't read too far. Once you said, I'm like, nope,
you're good.
Go back to the verses.
Nope, you're good.
But like, I hear this fact of like, we're supposed to take care of the widows and orphan in their distress, and so many of us are like, well, they got themselves that way, so they need to get off their butt and get a job, or then like the government's supposed to take care of them. And this is where I think a lot of conservative Christians fail, and this is why, in my opinion, now this is. Agree with me or not, I think this is why a lot of Gen Zs are starting to switch what people would think is a traditional Christian political position. They're starting to switch the aisle because they're looking at us as older generation going, you say you're Christians, but you don't care about people. You care about money.
So now
And that's why I think people are flipping the other side of the aisle.
we look at those two scriptures again, right?
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna
The Joseph and
we're gonna
the
look
Luke.
at we're gonna look at Joseph. Okay, so Joseph, right?
Okay.
Yes, that he stored up for the times 7 years of plenty, right?
He was the government.
Well, he was only the government after the dream.
Well, right, but I mean, like he started prepping because he was the government.
After he laid out the plan. But then we look at the passage in Luke, right?
So if that's the case, we trust the government storing
So
up enough stuff for us to take care of us.
What do these two stories have in common? Yeah.
What did the two Joseph and Luke?
Yeah, you were starting to hit on it a little bit, right?
Joseph was in a place where he was taking care of the entire nation.
Okay, and who was the rich man taking care of?
Just himself.
Oh, there you are. So
Hey, I'm a genius.
we are
a genius.
we are going back to the same thing as we did on the previous episode about wearing clothes to church, right? or wearing the different types of motives.
Check your heart.
Where are the motives of Joseph?
It was on honoring God
and loving others.
And taking care of the people.
And where was the motives of the rich man?
Just in his own crap.
So, can Christians be preppers or prepare for natural disasters?
I think there's a difference. Again, I'm going to go back to it. I think there's a difference between, yes, we need to be wise in order to, because like it would be unwise for me to say, oh, you know what? We don't got to prep for nothing. So every dime that I make, I'm going to go spend it however I want. And then look at my wife and kids and be like, sorry, go get a job. Like that's.
God will take care of you.
That's not okay because I'm called to steward what I have well, but I'm also not supposed to put my faith in what I have. I'm supposed to put my faith in Jesus and then love other people through myself. Wow, I'm feeling convicted 2 episodes in a row.
All right, so I'm going to get into my opinion of it.
You
now.
go into it, homie.
All right.
I'm going to hang out.
So my opinion of it, as far as motives go, can Christians be preppers? Yes, if they're called to it.
So how would you be called to it?
If you're called to prepare and your motive and heart behind it is so you can, not out of fear, help yourself like the rich man, but out of honor to God, like Joseph, help others. So you got to check your motive.
Which I think in some sense places like Hope, they do prep for all this stuff. But so they could literally feed
So
people.
If your motive, right, if my motive is directed out of fear for what I will not have, and so I got to store up these things for myself.
Is that, I think, I like what you said, that fear of what I won't have.
Yes.
That rather than fear of not being able to make sure that everyone else is okay.
Right.
Thinking George Mueller a little bit with that one.
It's a motive issue.
Okay.
So if I fear for that, right, and I'm storing up treasures for myself.
You're not seeking the kingdom.
You are not. That Christian should not be a prepper.
So the Christians that stock up on guns and ammo and gallons and gallons of water, you would say that's crossing a line?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Because I stock up on guns and ammo.
I don't.
But my guns and ammo are hunting purpose, right? Food.
You are an outdoorsman. You love to fish.
I got lots of fishing equipment. It's ways to... There's hunters and there's gatherers, right? I'm a hunter. So that's what I do. So I have these things.
I gathered the children to eat what you hunted.
There you go. And I'll feed you. But
Thank you.
So like I know personally Christians that right now with this world food shortage that is being predicted are storing up stuff.
And again, we don't fully know. People just think it's going to happen.
But they're not storing stuff just for themselves. They're storing stuff for themselves, but also for others. That, hey, if we find somebody in need of food, that we can give them food.
But here's my question, though, is the fact of there's so many people who already don't have homes and food. So should we be prepping to take care of, just in case this doesn't happen, where I'm like, there's already people who don't eat.
Sure, but these same people also give to the food.
I would say, a lot of people do.
So that's what I'm saying. They're doing both, right? And they can continue to do both. And I think that's where it comes in. What are the motives? Are you being driven by fear for yourself? Are you being driven out of love and conviction to prepare to help others?
So here's a question, because this is where some other doomsday preppers go. Because, you talk about, we already hinted and joked about like guns and ammo. What about those people that are stocking up on all of that to literally, just in case the government oversteps, they have the power to form the militia, to protect their family, and to, because the government's trying to regulate all these different things, like don't touch my guns and don't touch my ammo, which goes to the core of who and how America was founded. Just watch The Patriot. It goes to the core of America is literally oppressive government. Yeah, don't take our guns. Yeah, we gonna show you what's up. That's how America was founded.
So, I used to be a very gung-ho patriot. You'll take my guns from my cold, dead fingers. I am more of a pacifist now, as far as that goes.
Do you think it's even changed since we've been part of the podcast?
It has, because
I thought so, yeah.
I've become way more kingdom-minded, right? This world's not my home. I'm just a passing through. Why defend a world that is going down no matter what? This is just my opinion, and this is my conviction.
Let each man be convinced in his own mind.
Exactly. I'm not saying you have to be convinced this way. This is me. I am of the opinion that Democrat, that liberal sitting across the aisle from me that I'm shaking my finger at right now because I don't like what they're doing or saying. Am I being a good witness and ambassador for Jesus Christ?
But I also think there's a lot of people on the right side of the aisle that I'm like, that's not being a good witness either. You know?
Well, that's what I'm saying. As a person who's more conservative, right? I'd be considered right wing because of my opinions, my conservative views.
Down the middle.
Well, you're not. You're pretty right comparatively. But am I shaking my finger at them? You dumb liberal. No. I'm not, and I will not, because that is not a good witness for Christ. I'm going to present the gospel. I'm going to be like, this is God's standards, and that's the line I'm going to draw in the sand. I will defend God's standards to the death, but not to the death of the person, but unto death for me, right? Because that's how we're supposed to live as Christians. Mm-hmm. So that's where it gets back down to. It gets down to motives and what our motive should be when we prepare. And I want to read a scripture real fast. Luke 12:22-34. You did a long verse last time. I'm going to do one this time.
I pretty much read the whole gospel last time.
Yeah, it was good, though.
Give it to me, homie.
Then he said to the disciples, therefore I tell you, don't worry about your life, what you will eat, or what your body, or about the body, or what you will wear. For life is more than food, and the body more than clothing. Consider the ravens. They don't sow or reap. They don't have a storeroom or a barn, yet God feeds them. Aren't you worth much more than the birds? Can any of you add 1 moment to his lifespan by worrying? No, because we don't even know when we're going to die anyways. If then you're not able to even do a little thing, why worry about the rest? Consider how the wild flowers grow. They don't labor or spin thread. Yet I tell you, not even Solomon in all his splendor was adorned like one of these. If that's how God clothes the grass, which is in the field today and is thrown into the furnace tomorrow, how much more will he do for you, you of little faith? Don't strive for what you should eat and what you should drink, and don't be anxious. For the Gentile world eagerly seeks all these things, and your Father knows that you need them. But seek first the kingdom, and all these things will be provided for you. Don't be afraid, little flock, because the Father delights to give you the kingdom. Not to give you things, but to give you the kingdom. I love how it says,
but delight, little flock.
Yeah. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Make money bags for yourselves that won't grow old, an inexhaustible treasure in heaven, where no thief comes near and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. So what is the motive behind people that prep out of fear? Right? They're worried. It's worry. It's fear.
Right.
They're worried about themselves. And right here in Luke, we're told not to do that.
And it says, be anxious for, be anxious. In other parts, be anxious for nothing, but in lowliness and cast all your care before God. I'm trying to remember the
Philippians 4.
I'm blanking so hard.
Philippians 4 says, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, with prayer and
substitution. Yes, substitution.
Prayer and supplication. With thanksgiving, make your requests known to God. And he who is trying to pull it off, I don't remember.
See, you're blanking too.
I'm blanking now.
We've had so much scripture tonight. But at the end of the day, it's back to God even says, don't be anxious. Now, I mean, our natural human state is worry. Because we are, when we realize we're so out of control, you know?
And that's the beautiful thing, right? What does he say? He said, don't be anxious, don't worry. Because it won't add 1 moment to your lifespan.
And honestly, I think it takes it away.
You worrying and you being doing things out of fear does not add 1 moment to your lifespan, because your days are numbered by the Lord.
And actually, it could honestly diminish, because you see people like look at the president. Like after 8 years, like they look decrepit because
But
That's
what's
their
the
job? It's hard.
What's the natural
I'm not sure how that applies.
human reaction to things, the disasters?
Fear, worry, and control.
Yes.
What can I control?
Self-preservation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Right. What can I control? I can only control me, so I'm going to take care of.
Yes.
take care of me.
Self-preservation, whatever that takes. And God is saying, why? Because it ain't going to add any. It's not going to add a half a millisecond to your life.
And this is where Christianity, I would say, has been very different compared to other religions. With the Black Plague, everyone fled, but the Christians stayed. In Roman cultures and in New Testament times, to take care of all these widows and orphans, the government didn't give a rip, so Christians stepped in.
Right.
You see Christians and organizations that are Christian-minded starting hospitals and orphanages. I mean, think of like back-to-back ministries that are dealing trauma care. You got Little Neighbors of Paraguay. You got all these different Christian agencies that are like, we want to look out for those who can't help themselves.
Right.
You know, rather than the Christian ministry, which is more of the prosperity gospel of what can I do to gain more for me and I can be more comfortable and luxurious. And I think at the end of the day, it goes back to if we don't live for others right now, when the time comes for us to live for others, we're not any can be prepared to do it.
Yeah. So my final thought.
Yeah, you give your final thought. We'll get into fun facts. We'll close this episode out, bro.
So my final thought is, can Christians be preppers? Yes, with the right motives and if they are called to do so. Not in order to self-preserve their own lives, but to help and to spread the gospel. Love God, love others.
Time for Fun Facts with Fuller.
My dude, it was good just to chat about it rather than going through an outline. This was just good little chitty
It'd
chat.
be a good chitty chat.
It's a good little chitty chat. It's a good little chitty chat, and then you can go take a little nappy nap after this.
I'm gonna go to 90-night.
You're gonna go take a 90-night.
I'm gonna go to 90-night, and then I'm gonna wake up and go potty. You know, you gotta use all the little kid terms. You know,
gotta wipe your butt, and then you gotta
no. You go potty,
and then you gotta eat your bar.
Then you gotta wipe your tush. Anyways,
I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I am dumbfounded.
The fun fact.
I didn't read it. I'm ready. I'm going to be prepared just like you guys. I'm ready. Let's go.
With all your troubles that you've had recently with your fridge and then all your appliances, you should learn this one.
Follow Beth on Instagram. She's a hoot.
Fun fact.
Okay.
The fuller the fridge, the more energy efficient it is. Ready?
Really?
An empty fridge not only makes it more difficult to decide what to snack on, it also wastes valuable energy. It works like this. The more empty space in the fridge, the more cold air is displaced by warm when you open the door, requiring the appliance to generate cool air to replace it. If the fridge is packed, less cool air escapes and less energy is required to replenish it. The writers at the kitchen go so far as to advise fridge owners to fill empty bottles with water in order to displace the empty air.
Really?
That's the fun fact.
So what I'm hearing you say is that preppers are not just being prepared for the worst, but they're actually being more
energy efficient,
which means they're actually saving the planet.
They're saving the planet. Good job, guys.
Way to go, preppers.
Proud of you.
That's not at all what we're trying to say. But that is a really fun fact.
It was. I thought it was.
I mean, it makes sense because it's kind of like with coolers, like, you know, when you
fuller they are.
Or not even. That's you, boss.
I know.
But like, if you already put pre-cold drinks into a cooler, you need fewer ice packs to keep it cool, and especially if you don't open it. Because I know whenever the power goes out, my mom's one rule is if you open the fridge, I will whack you.
Yeah,
because
leave it closed.
Leave it closed.
Then it doesn't allow warm air in, displace cold
So yeah,
air.
that makes sense. So thank you for that fun fact again, my dude.
So next time your fridge goes out,
just don't open it.
Just pack it full beforehand because you have that pre-knowledge, and don't open it.
You have never failed to disappoint us on the fun fact, my dude. So thank you for doing that every single week.
You're welcome.
Goodness. And just like always, guys, we are so thankful for you guys who literally are part of the RTC family. We have many of you guys who are part of it on YouTube, many are part of it on Instagram, and many are part of it on Facebook, and specifically the Facebook group. There's so many different ways to connect with Fuller and I, which a lot of you guys have done via personal messages, like just people just personally DM us all the time, or text or email. It's crazy.
Yep.
And we cannot always get to those messages as fast as we want.
We try.
And it sounds bad, but it's just it's cool to see this ministry grow But it's hard to keep up with it all, man.
We might need to get a secretary to help
Janelle.
us with the messaging.
That would be awesome, actually.
Beth would be really good at that.
She would be phenomenal at that. But we'll talk about that later.
Sure.
But just like always, guys, seriously connect with us on any of the platforms. If you're a follower on Spotify, leave that rating. If you are a follower on Apple Podcasts, leave that rating and review. And if they're following YouTube, what are they supposed to do? Like click the bell?
Oh, yeah. If you're on YouTube right now, go and hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell, ding, and subscribe and get those notifications for whenever we pop up. You never know when we're like a whack-a-mole. We just pop up at random places.
But
at
we're
random
like
times.
the old 90s one where if you put your coin in, it may or may not work.
May or may not. But if you're not on YouTube right now, go over there, www.youtube.com. Go into the search bar, hit Real Talk Christian Podcasts. And again, hit that subscribe button, that little bell notification, and ding, and subscribe to us.
Or if you don't know where to go to find all the stuff, just go to realtalkchristianpodcast.com. You can find everything there. I think we hit all the high notes. What do you think, Fuller?
Did we really just have to restart the outro because we talked too long?
Yeah, we had to restart the outro
Holy
because we
moly.
talked too long. We have a problem. So should we let these married people go?
We probably should.
All right, I love it, guys. Well, hey, until next time then.
Take it easy.